Hey, welcome to Anxiety Riot's first entry into my anxiety vlog. To start, my name is Jacob Ettinger. I'm 22 years old, youngest of two kids, from Chicago, Illinois. And my anxiety story starts a little bit differently than the average anxiety sufferers. I didn't find out I had anxiety disorders until I was 21 years old. Once I was actually diagnosed and figured out what was going on with me, it became pretty clear that my entire life I had been suffering from what's known as panic disorders and anxiety disorders. But I want to start with who am I and why I'm able, or why I feel I'm able to talk about anxiety disorders and panic disorders, um, maybe above some other people. For one, obviously, I'm a sufferer from what's known as generalized anxiety disorder. That means generally I feel anxious about most things, but we'll get into that maybe in another vlog. I also suffer from what's known as panic disorder, and panic disorder is a pain in the ass. When you have panic disorder, that means you have panic attacks about panic attacks. I'm afraid to have panic attacks, which is, it makes no sense, but that's what anxiety is. It's rational thought. And when you think about it, it's a really funny situation because my body and my sympathetic nervous system knows what it's doing. It is a very smart, intelligent system. But in reality, it's overreacting to something that it shouldn't be. Like, for example, about a year ago, I became slightly agoraphobic, which is when you are afraid to leave your house, or you can't leave your house. You're just so afraid you can't leave your house. And for me, I don't know why it started, but I just slowly stopped doing social things, and I started to just stay home. I live with my girlfriend, so that was really hard. And I started having panic attacks more frequently last year. I had about 3 a day, which is like a pretty terrible experience. If you've ever had a panic attack, you'll understand. But I would have panic attacks about panicking outside of my home because I felt safe in my room and in my house, so I would panic less. This is before I got prescribed any benzodiazepines, any, new antidepressants, anti-anxiety pills, which I'll go into in another vlog entry. But I want to talk about who I am and how my anxiety started. So I grew up a pretty quiet kid. I always had this weird fascination with the future and time, which, remember this because it'll make more sense later, but I always would be questioning everything, like, why do people do this? What happens with this? But if I wasn't asking questions, I didn't talk. I was a very quiet kid. I don't know why, but my older brother was very outspoken. He was very into attention, I guess. And that wasn't for me, I never really wanted to be center of attention. As I got older, towards middle school, high school, my mom started noticing, I guess, something strange about me. Maybe the fact that I would get so irrationally mad over something, or so depressed over something, that sometimes I wouldn't even leave my room, when I was in middle school. But for me, whenever I had what I now know as a panic attack, I would find any other reason for my symptoms. So I'd be like, maybe I'm shaking and feeling I'm going to vomit and my heart's racing because I have low blood sugar. Or maybe it's the flu. Or, it's totally normal to do these things and try to find other reasons why you feel the way you do, because no one really thinks this has to be anxiety, especially when you're 13, 14. or even 5 or 6. That age is so young, you don't really know what is happening to your body, so you find reasons that you would be like, hey, this is probably why I'm feeling this way. Um, but in high school, I kind of went in a pretty low part of my life. I had friends. I had a lot of good friends. I still have a lot of good friends. A lot of them live all over the country now, like Michigan, Colorado, California, Texas, and I'm still here in Chicago. But that's okay with me. Chicago's my home. Got a tattoo. City broad shoulders. That's where my family's from. But that's okay. And throughout high school, I missed a lot of school. I ditched a lot of school. Ditched a lot of classes. But for reasons I thought were maybe for my own good, I guess you could say. If I had a panic attack in the morning, it was pretty easy to just not go to school that day. And, be like, hey, I guess I don't feel well. Apparently I feel really sick. And what I do when I panic, which I really hate a lot, is I'm a puker. I puke when I have panic attacks, which is like really embarrassing and really hard. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Not everyone can control their sympathetic nervous system. So in high school, my mom took me to several psychologists, and of course, they diagnosed me with depression or bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, which I'll get into later. But basic mood and stress disorders. But I was never diagnosed with anxiety disorders, so I never really researched it because I was never knowledgeable about it. I never knew what that would be like. I feel that I'm not the only one who had to wait until they were 21 years old to figure out what anxiety is and why it's a disorder. But so I got through high school. Well, I dropped out of high school and decided to work. I worked for Hot Topic for 4 years, and at the time I was living at my grandparents' house, and there was a very stressful environment, a lot of tension, a lot of arguing. I don't know, and it allowed me to become a hermit. To come back into my room and kind of ignore the rest of the world. But throughout this entire time, I've had this girlfriend named Hannah, and she's the most wonderful person I've ever met in my entire life. She has got me through so many things that I didn't even know how to thank her. I mean, through suicide fits, through cutting, through panic attacks, through not leaving my room. She's got me through almost everything in my life, and I don't know how to thank her for that. She's the most genuine person I've ever actually met, and she's the nicest person I've ever met. And if it wasn't for her, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be here today. I don't know if I'd be strong enough to be here today. But she comes from a great family, a very caring family, and I couldn't be more grateful for her. But when I got to college, I moved into the city with my mom, and I thought things were going good for the first time. I thought I was doing things right until the end of my sophomore year of college. I attended the Columbia College Chicago, which is a liberal arts school, and I was majoring in arts, entertainment, media management, which I love the music industry and everything. I love arts and everything, but I don't think it's for me, which is another vlog entry. But at the end of my sophomore year, I noticed that I was lacking in a lot of sleep and having this feeling of constant dizziness, which was new for me. I never felt dizzy before. But I started going to the doctor, and I was diagnosed with what's known as vestibular neuritis, which is when the levels in your ears that keep you balanced are uneven. So when that happens, your body thinks you're actually out of balance, and you feel dizzy, constantly spinning. And the medication I received for that illness, made my anxiety 10 times worse. It was a steroid-based medicine, but steroid-based medicines can actually boost and destroy like your personality, your depression if you have chronic depression or major depressive disorder, like I do. It can boost your anxiety disorder like no one's business, and it can really destroy your life. And it was at this time that I started taking this medication. I had the most amount of panic attacks I've ever had in my entire life. I was probably maxing out around 5 a day and 4 at night. Couldn't sleep. If I slept, I had nightmares. I would wake up panicking, and I convinced myself that I needed to go see a doctor. Otherwise, I was going to die. There was that presence of impending doom again, and I need to do something about it this time. I'm an adult now, and I want to have a future, and I didn't want to die anymore. So I went to my doctor, Dr. Colleen Heniff. She's an amazing doctor, but she diagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder, which was completely new for me. I had never heard of those, until I'd been diagnosed with them. So, of course, she started me on some medication, and those helped, and they got me through the day, I guess. But I was first put on venlafaxine, which is Effexor, and it's an SNRI, serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor, which means unlike an SSRI, which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, it also selects norepinephrine, which is in your gut, and it's one of the major hormones that helps you not feel depressed or feel happy or But when I was on that, I thought I was doing good, and I was actually doing way worse than I thought I was. This is when my anxiety and everything, my depression, peaked the most. Is last June, I believe, June or July. I was supposed to go on vacation with my girlfriend, and we're going to her family's lake house in Virginia, in Roanoke, Virginia, and we got to the airport at around 6 in the morning, and when it was boarding time, I couldn't go. I had this feeling of needles on my neck and my chest tightening, my heart racing, and I was gonna throw up. And this is before I had my precious alprazolam, and before I really had any emergency benzodiazepines, which I'll get into in another vlog. And my amazing girlfriend was like, "If you have to go home, go home," And for some reason, without hesitation, I was like, "Bye." I'm out of here. But when I got home, things spiraled way worse than I thought they were going to. I didn't sleep for days. I was puking and just panicking and panicking and panicking over what I had done. I couldn't believe that I left my girlfriend at an airport terminal. Who does that to somebody? But she stayed with me, which is the craziest thing. But who does that to someone they actually care about? Leaves them alone like that. And I had to go home. So I came home, didn't sleep, just panicked. I got a hold of my doctor again. This is when she finally prescribed alprazolam, which is Xanax. She had given me clonazepam, which is a long-acting, it has a long half-life for benzodiazepine, and that chemical compound reacted with my brain in a way it shouldn't have, and I would panic for 12 hours instead of just calming down for 8 hours. So she prescribed me Xanax, and she gave me the lowest dose, which is 0.25 milligrams, and they didn't really do much. They would help for an hour or so, but then I could overcome the benzodiazepine and start to panic again. But let me just wrap this video up, and I'll get into several different stories and different vlogs. But this is like just the beginning of my story, and why I think I'm able to talk about having anxiety disorders and panic disorders. And I don't want to do this vlog for me, you know. I want to do it for the people I know, I guess, to let them know where I've been for the last year and a half, and to let other people know that you're not alone. You may feel that way, but you're not. And if you feel that way, you can message me on YouTube or comment, or I would love if anyone commented and said, like, hey, can you help describe this? Because, like, I would have no problem doing that. This is going to be a weekly vlog for me. I might do it more than once a week. I'm not sure. But I have no problem answering questions, and I want to reach out to the public with anxiety disorders. You know, I waited 21 years to figure out what was wrong with me, and I don't want anyone else to do that. So, again, I mean, comment, like, if you need to find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, whatever, just reach out and just know you're not alone. And I'll see you next week.